Oh yeah. What's going on, guys? Cheers to that. Coming on right after that absolute demolition from Inter. And I think all of us can cheers to what we just saw. If you're participating, cheers. If not, I get it. But man, what a performance that we just saw from the Nerazzurri. Welcome back, guys, to the Pazza Podcast. I'm Travis. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Couldn't be more happier to be back into the Serie A season. It's been a fun weekend. Glad that the Serie A is back. Not going to hate on the EPL anymore. I've gotten all that out of my system this summer. It's just glad and it's awesome that the Italian Serie A is back. And what a start for Inter. What a start for Christian Kivu. We'll dig into this match a little bit, but couldn't ask for a better start from the manager. He is probably over the moon after that start. I'm sure Mourinho is going to be calling him, giving him props, and it's good vibes all around. We've been through a lot as Inter fans over the last few months, and to have a performance like that, to come out and with a statement 5-0 win over Torino, man, what a day! I can't be happier. Wish I had more time in the day to go enjoy and celebrate this and didn't have to work tomorrow. But is what it is. Super ecstatic, super happy. Let's dive into this. We'll start out with the lineup. So it started out kind of similar to what we thought we would be seeing based off of that last friendly match against Olympiacos. We had Jan Sommer in goal, back three of Pavard, Acerbi, and Bastoni. Across that five in the midfield, Dumfries, Sucic played in that Mezzala role on the right side, so in Barella's usual place, which is something I mentioned that I liked seeing in the second half of that Olympiacos match. Barella playing in that Registo role, Mkhitaryan, then Di Marco, making up the rest of that midfield five, and then Tula, Thuram, and Lautaro up top. And it was a great overall performance. Not flawless. I mean, 5-0, that kind of is flawless, but we'll talk about some things maybe we need to work on. First half started, and the first thing we see pretty much from Inter is something that we saw pretty much the whole match, and that is Barella playing a beautiful ball cross-field from one side to the other, finding Di Marco. Di Marco, actually, sorry, it was Barella found Lautaro, and Lautaro made that switch over the top to Di Marco. Di Marco swung in a cross, and at first chance of the match, this was literally in the first, I think it was 45 seconds in, whenever Thuram latched onto that Di Marco cross header, and probably should have done better, but foreshadowing, it was just a practice attempt at that point. Uh, After that, Torino kind of settled into the match a little bit. Barella had some questionable giveaways, I would say, early on, but he made that up for that with some great work off the ball and great effort, drive. And that's a theme we'll see or we'll talk about for this whole squad today was the effort and drive that we saw from this team. I thought Bastoni and Di Marco early on, after that first passage of play where Di Marco had that great cross, were a little lackadaisical. There was a couple giveaways. Bastoni got beat a couple times, or maybe not got beat, but got the better of by Ngoj on that right side for Torino. And Di Marco, there was some miscommunication you could see also with Barella and the passing. And it took some time for Inter after the first 45 seconds where we had that chance for them to kind of settle into the match. I think the first 10 to 15 minutes, Torino kind of equaled or if not was better than us. And we mentioned in that, maybe it wasn't the Olympiacos match, one of the preseason friendlies, that the slow start is something that we saw last year. And in the preseason, there's been a couple slow starts. So it's something Kivu has to work on with this squad moving forward, is coming out of the locker room going into the first half and starting the match the same way that they played the rest of this match after the first 10 to 15 minutes. Um, But then after that first 10 to 15 minutes, we really figured it out. And that was kind of spurred on by the new boy, the Croatian, the seemingly wonder kid potentially that we have signed from Zagreb, Petar Sucic. What a guy we have on our hands. Absolute flawless performance in my eyes. We'll talk about it more later. But the first action we saw was just an absolute beautiful through ball to Denzel Dumfries, who laid it back to Lautaro, who flubbed his shot. That was in the 14th minute. But the ingenuity of the pass, he was facing backwards towards goal. He was at probably the top of the edge of the box, maybe like the 18, but he was facing, his back was to goal. But then just the know withal and the awareness to make a quick turn and lay off with just the most elegant pace to guide it into the path of Denzel Dumfries. It was an absolute beautiful ball. Lautaro should have done way better there, and we should have been up 1-0 there, but we didn't have to wait long for that. And that came not too much longer off of a corner. It was a beautiful, beautiful header. To be fair, I think Torino should have done better. If you watch the replay from behind the goal, the keeper should have maybe gotten a hand to it. There was the number 5, Messina, I think was his name, let it just kind of go over his head. Biraghi wasn't on the post. I don't know exactly what his positioning was there, but nonetheless, it was a great flick on by Bastoni. It's funny, before the corner was even taken, I commented to myself, was like, why is Barella the one taking this corner? Why is it not Di Marco? Even though Çalhanoğlu's not in there, why is it Barella? And it was a pretty good corner. It hit it with really hard pace to that near post. It was definitely something that they had worked on. And all Bastoni had to do was guide it. And we were up 1-0. It was a great goal. Like I said, maybe Torino should have done better there. But nonetheless, it was an even first 15 minutes or so. And the fact that Inter got the first goal can't be qualms. It was great. And after that goal, the entire match changed, and it was pure Inter domination for the rest of the match. It was a classy performance from most of the players on the pitch. We'll talk about who we didn't like. But again, Sucic, after that goal, before he had been the best player on the pitch for Inter, and after that goal, he continued to show his class, not only with the passing ability, but there were several great tackles where he worked back and got the tackles. Just his positioning and spacing and movement off the ball, too, opened up lanes for other players to run into, namely Dumfries and Pavard. He looks like a player that we have been missing for a while, and he looks like he came in and fit seamlessly. It's funny, too, the announcer towards the end of that half mentioned that he had looked, or Sucic looks like a player like Fabian Ruiz. That is something I've been saying week after week. He has that mold of Fabian Ruiz, who's a class player. He was class at Napoli, and he's really proven his worth at PSG. And if we get a player like that in our squad with Sucic, it's going to be a really good season for Inter. Barella still kind of was sloppy in that first half, I think. And then in the 36th minute, Inter doubles the lead 2-0. Again, it's that guy we've mentioned a lot, Petar Sucic, with a great through ball in to Thuram, and it was a great finish from Thuram. And the celebration, Thuram, you could see the life come back into his face. Something that a lot of people have commented over this summer, this tumultuous summer, the drama, that maybe Thuram isn't happy. But you could see after that goal, there was some life in his face. And he was enjoying football and the celebration and everything. It just felt great. And what a goal to be set up by the new guy, Sucic, to have Thuram bury it like that. It was a really great way to cap off that first half. Was that goal, and it couldn't have been any better. And we almost had a third too. Francesco Acerbi off another corner, which we've kind of become set piece FC, if you will, over the last 6 or 7 months. Nothing wrong with it. A goal is a goal, but we've become dependent and relied on a lot of the time on getting goals off set pieces. And Acerbi, again off of a set piece corner with a brilliant header. I don't know how the Torino keeper made that save. It might be one of the saves of the season on that Acerbi header. Bravo to him, the Torino keeper, keeping us at bay, at least for then, uh, going into the half 2-0. And my first half thoughts, again, kind of reiterating the first 10 to 15 minutes, I think Torino looked equal, if not maybe better than us. Just wouldn't say, let me take that back. Wouldn't say they looked better than us, but they looked equal and maybe had a little bit of the better chance. But after that, especially after the first goal, Inter completely dominated that first half. Sucic, great assist and just great all around play. Again, I don't want to beat the dead horse and put the high expectations on him, but what a first half and what an overall first game performance. I thought Lautaro, hadn't really mentioned him other than that flub, but man, he worked his socks off in that first half. That is why he is our captain. That is why he's, in my opinion, he can carry us potentially to a Scudetto. He's the type of player that even if he doesn't score, just his work rate, everything else he brings, that first half kind of encapsulates what Lautaro is as a player. He's frustrating sometimes with his finishing, but you forgive a player like that if they work hard off the ball, if they give everything they have for the badge. And that's what Lautaro brought in that first half. So shouts outs to Capitano, Lauti, really great performance. And one thing at note that I definitely noticed, Acerbi was getting the better of, or he was getting bested a few times more than I've ever seen in that first half, especially against a player like Giovanni Simeone. That's not what we want to see. And I've been particularly very adamant that we need to sign another center back, particularly in that center position. De Vrij hasn't looked good this summer, and Acerbi has definitely, since that PSG defeat, hasn't done himself any favors. And I think it's if Morata was watching that performance and doesn't address the center back situation, if we come trophyless again, it's without a doubt management's fault. The center back, whatever you want to say, has to be addressed before the end of this mercato. And it's a shame that Acerbi, I think he still has performances in him, but I don't think we can go a whole season with Acerbi as our preferred center back. Same with De Vrij. De Vrij has a couple performances I feel like he could still put in for the Nerazzurri, but we can't rely on these two guys week in and week out. We have to make another signing. So I think we definitely saw that in the first half. He came better in the second half, but first half Acerbi just scared me. And then Mkhitaryan, I hate beating the dead horse with this as well, and I hate being that guy that is a Mkhitaryan hater. I don't want to be any Inter player hater, but this match, if it doesn't show that the gulf in class between a player like Sucic, who could take that position, and Mkhitaryan at this point in his career, isn't apparent and doesn't make you not want to have Mkhitaryan on the pitch, I don't know why you're defending him anymore. I know stats wise, he had still had some good stats last year as far as wins and involvements and stuff, but just eye test is really all you need when you see the difference between Sucic and Mkhitaryan. Again, he's 36. They're not going to force him out, but he's a player that we don't need to be having on the starting lineup anymore, any longer at all. I wanted us to keep up the effort in the second half. That was the last point I wrote down for first half thoughts, and boy, did we do that ever so likely. It was incredible. Second half, we saw some more of those big switches out wide. Barella starting off in the 48th minute had a great one out wide from the right side, switched it to the left side. Thuram finds the ball, goes past Vlasic, and really probably should have put the third in here. Curling effort, and it was brilliant, almost reminiscent of that Milan goal a couple years ago, kind of his Milan derby debut, and should have probably put the ball away. But we didn't have to wait longer. Lautaro Martinez, again, this is what I was mentioning with the effort. This goal he scored was pure El Toro, Grinta, just that effort. Torino being sloppy in the back, but Lautaro with that high press, that high energy, that high effort, always constantly putting them under pressure, and got rewarded. Won the ball back in the box after a sloppy pass from a Torino defender and slides to win the ball and slots it home in the corner past the keeper. At this point, done and dusted, 3-0. Torino looked defeated. But what I really enjoyed with Inter, maybe under Inzaghi towards the end of that season, not always the case, but towards the end of that season, Inter would have sat back and enjoyed and been happy, content with just a 3-0 victory. But they put their foot on the gas, they put their feet on the opposition's throat and wasn't content with just a 3-0 defeat. 62nd minute, a fourth goal comes. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant pass from Bastoni. This is what we expect from the best defender, not only in Serie A, in Europe, in the world right now. There's no one better than Alessandro Bastoni. There's not a better defender. He has everything. His 1v1 defending used to be something that I was concerned with. I think he's put that to rest. He can defend 1v1. He can defend as a unit. He can score off of a header. We need to see that a little more consistently. Maybe that's what he's missing in his game. He showed it today. We need to see it more consistently. But that passing ability is what separates him from anybody else in the world as a defender. And it was a beautiful ball. And Thuram, like I said earlier, foreshadowing. What a header. What a header it was into the bottom right-hand corner. If you're looking at the goal, bottom left-hand corner, you could tell by Biraghi and the keeper for Torino's reaction, really all of Torino's back line. At that point, they were like, what do we do here? There was nothing that any of them could have done. And if that wasn't the game, we got even more of a cherry on the top a couple later. We made the subs after the goal. Boni, Carlos Augusto come in for Di Marco and Thuram. And again, Inter not content, not sitting back on their heels, wanting the killer goal. Win the ball back again high from, I believe it was Dumfries. He found Mkhitaryan, who one-touched it to Lautaro, one-touched it to Boni. One of his first involvements in the match, Boni. Touches it, turns, boom, 5-0. Debut goal for Boni. And everybody was super happy at this point. It's kind of poetic when you think about it. 5-0. 5-0 PSG. The parallels there. But we were just on top of the world. I'm still on top of the world. I'm kind of at a loss for words after this match. I feel like I've been stumbling and stammering a little bit, but this is the performance that we've been waiting for and we've been nervous about all summer is what is this Inter side going to look like, not only under Kivu, but how are they going to respond? And the response, again, poetic, 5-0 victory over Torino after that 5-0 drubbing against PSG is awesome to see. We're going to wrap this up. I didn't want to be on here too long. Again, I'm still super excited and kind of struggling to find my words here. So apologies for that. Last final thoughts. I thought Andy Doof, he made his debut and did not look good at all. Hopefully, he's only been in the squad for 3 days or so, 4 days maybe. Maybe he's only gotten 2 training sessions. So not going to hold that against him, but definitely was not something that was a great sight to see. I thought that overall, though, I mean, what a start. We're top of the league now, albeit just on goal differential. But this is something for us supporters, after the season that we had last year, and even for the players, this is a huge result going into the season, and it's a huge result for the rest of the league. They know that Inter is not screwing around. We are here to reclaim our title back as Serie A champions. And a start like that is putting the rest of the league on notice. Outside of, again, kind of just going to reiterate a couple of things I've already said as my full-time thoughts. Outside of the first 10, 15 minutes, Inter completely dominated. We need to shore up that early start. Sucic looks like a player that we have found and that can slot in and be a great midfielder in addition for this squad and hopefully for the long-term future. The new signings all look good. Luis Enrique only got a couple minutes, but he looked all right in the couple minutes he played. Boni with the goal coming in. Sucic again, can't give him enough praise. And good all around seeing that. There's still some question marks, like I'd mentioned earlier, over Mkhitaryan and Acerbi. I think you can probably throw Jan Sommer in that equation. He looked a little unnervy a couple of times, but didn't really have too much to do. And the season, we're underway now. It's a great start to the season. We're on to Udinese next weekend. Thursday is a big day too, the Champions League draw, and it's just it's exciting. It's something that I think I've been, after this preseason, a little nervous to see what Inter we're going to get. But like I'd mentioned towards the end of the last season, if we have to bring in new players, but we keep the core, Bastoni, Di Marco, Çalhanoğlu, Barella, Lautaro, Thuram, these players who aren't 33, 34, 35. Çalhanoğlu's up there in age, but he still has quality. Keeping that core and adding these younger developmental pieces around them, energetic pieces, spry players, it's not going to be that big of a deal and can benefit us. Let's see how it works out. Might come on here next week with a different tone, but it's a great feeling. I'm sure the rest of you Interisti are just as elated and happy as I am. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Like I said, I'm kind of at a loss for words, so I'm going to wrap this up, keep it quick. Appreciate all the support, guys. Be on the lookout for another kind of TikTok-y video. I'm not going to do a lot of those, but just trying to interact and engage with different audiences. So be on the look for another video coming out this week that's a little different than what I've done, but appreciate all the support. As always, guys, Forza Inter.